Hello humans, welcome back to Your Thoughts Are Valid and I hope you all are doing great. So today we are going to learn about Karen Horney's personality theory. So first let's see the background of this psychologist known as Karen Horney. So Karen Horney, like her lifespan was from 1885 to 1952. She was a German psychoanalyst who radically countered the views of the Freudian school. Her views on neurosis, feminist psychology, and self continue to influence the fields of cultural psychology, interpersonal psychotherapy, and humanistic psychology. She was one of the first women trained as a Freudian psychoanalyst. Karen Horney pointed out that the male centricity of Freudian psychoanalysis derived from the fact that it was largely developed by men. She overturned and reversed the idea of penis envy, stating that it could be overcome by women through their identification with their mothers, and indeed that men could have womb envy as a result of women's capacity to bear life. So this was a bit about Karen Horney. So let's move on to her theory. So, basic anxiety. She gave the concept of basic anxiety. At the core of Horney's theory is the concept of basic anxiety. She proposed that during early childhood, individuals experience feelings of helplessness and insecurity due to perceived threats from the external environment or their caregivers. Basic anxiety stems from experiences of neglect, rejection, or overprotection, or all such adverse factors, which we can call as basic evil. Okay, so according to Karen Horney, she said like in our early childhood, if our parents or whoever our caregiver is, if they are very neglected, if they neglect us, or if we are continuously facing the feelings of rejection. Suppose you do something but you don't get reinforcement for that or any appraisal for that, and you feel rejected most of the time in your early childhood, or maybe your parents or your caregivers are way too protective about you, then all these things lead to feelings of inferiority, leads to feelings of helplessness and insecurity, and this give rise to basic anxiety. Okay, this leads to the feeling of basic anxiety. Okay, so basic anxiety can be roughly described as a feeling of being small, insignificant, helpless, deserted, or endangered in a world that is out to abuse, cheat, humiliate, betray, envy. And special in this is the child's feeling that the parents' love, their Christian charity, honesty, generosity may be only a pretense. So this is something what Karen Horney said. Moving on to basic hostility. So basic evil. So we learned that all the adverse factors like neglect, rejection, or overprotection are known as basic evil. So now Karen Horney said that this basic evil provokes resentment or basic hostility in the child. What is the meaning of hostility? It means unfriendliness. So, basic hostility in child. This basic evil provokes resentment or basic hostility in the child. Basic hostility produces a dilemma or conflict for the child because expressing the hostility work right risk punishment or jeopardize his or her reception of parental love. So this basic hostility, this basic unfriendliness, it usually produces a dilemma or conflict for the child because if they are expressing if they are being hostile, then it will it leads to the risk of punishment, or maybe it can jeopardize his or her reception of parental love, like he might not receive the parental love he or she is wishing for. So children deal with this hostility by repressing it, so they don't show their hostility. They instead repress this feeling of theirs, this feeling of them, they repress that. Repressing may be fueled by three different strategies. What are these three different strategies? I have to repress my hostility because I need you. Okay, I cannot be unfriendly with you because I need you. I'm dependent on you. Second is I have to repress my hostility because I'm afraid of you. So second reason can be, I have to be friendly with you because, I'm scared of you. And the third one is I have to repress my hostility for fear of losing you. So sometimes you cannot show your hostility to others because you feel like, you being unfriendly might make you lose all the people around you actually care for. Repression intensifies the conflict, leading to a vicious cycle. Okay, so repression intensifies the conflict, leading to a vicious cycle. Karen Horney, gave a lot of focus on repression. Okay, so she, as you have studied here, that Karen Horney described that hostility, repressing the feelings of hostility may be due to three main, can be fueled by three different strategies. Okay, either for the need, or either because you are afraid, or either because you are afraid of losing someone. And then she said repression intensifies the conflict, leading to a vicious cycle. Vicious means cruel cycle. Okay, cruel or violent, we can say, or immoral, anything you relate with more. Okay, so now moving on, neurotic needs. Neurotic needs are psychological coping strategies, or we can say defense mechanism, that individuals develop in response to feelings of anxiety, insecurity, and helplessness. And she called these needs, okay, these neurotic needs, basically, neurotic needs are the defense mechanism. Okay, it's like, just think that Freud used the term defense mechanism, Karen Horney used the term neurotic needs. So neurotic needs are nothing but defense mechanism that, we develop, or individuals develop, so that they can deal with the feelings of anxiety, insecurity, or helplessness. And she called these needs neurotic because these are irrational solutions to our problems. These are not rational. Okay, these are irrational. That's why she called it as neurotic. These needs are a central concept in Horney's psychoanalytic theory and represent maladaptive ways of dealing with emotional distress. Horney identified 10 primary neurotic needs. How many? 10. Each representing a different strategy that individuals employ to alleviate their underlying feelings of inadequacy and anxiety. These needs become rigid and fixed over time, hindering personal growth and healthy interpersonal relationships. So, the first need is the neurotic need for affection and approval. Normal, it is okay that we need affection, but we don't expect it from everyone we meet. Okay, everyone needs affection, everyone needs love, but not from everyone. It's not like you step out, you see the person, and you feel like, oh, I need affection from this person. That is not, that is neurotic. Then it will become neurotic. It becomes neurotic when we have indiscriminate need to please others and be liked by them. Like when we feel like, everyone should like us, everyone should be affectionate towards us, then it becomes neurotic. But as far as we know that, from whom to seek love or approval or affection, till then it's fine because everyone needs that. Then second is neurotic need for a partner. So what is normal, that we all want to have a partner, okay, that we can love and can love us back. Okay, we all want to feel loved. We all want to love someone. But what becomes neurotic here is that partner is someone who will take over one's life. If your life is completely dominated by that one person, it's like, when you have this idea in your mind that having a romantic partner will solve all your problems, or, losing someone might, destroy you. So this will become neurotic. Then third one is neurotic need to restrict one's life to narrow borders. So normal, what will be normal here, that it is okay that we want our lives to be simple, to manage. Okay, we all want to live a simple life where, simple enough that we can manage the basic ups and downs we face in everyday life. What will become neurotic here is that when someone want to be undemanding, like having no demands, or like just satisfied with whatever he or she is having, may or may not be enough. uh, or another thing which can become neurotic in this case is that a person who hasn't felt the need to simplify life when it gets too stressful. If it's going stressful, he or she is not doing anything to reduce the stress. They rather join a monastic order, disappear into routine, or to return to the womb. These all will become neurotic. Then fourth one is neurotic need for power. What is normal? It's okay that we have power to improve. Okay, we all want that power and we all wish to improve. What will become neurotic here is that when we think that power is for control over others, for a facade of omnipotence, the neurotic need may be desperate for it. This is dominance for its own sake, often accompanied by a contempt for the weak and a strong belief in one's own rational powers. Okay, until and unless you are using the power to improve your own life, it's fine. But the moment you feel like you need power to destroy others or to dominate others, then it becomes neurotic. Fifth one is neurotic need to exploit others and get the better of them. It is okay that we need to have an effect, to have impact, to be heard. Okay, we all want to be influential. We all want that people should value us, respect us, and whatever you are saying must have an effect on others, impact on others, or you feel like you need to be heard. What will become neurotic in this case is that it can become manipulation. Like you want to manipulate people to do things for your own good. You are not thinking about them. And the belief that people are there to be used. If you feel like I can use anyone, you take pride in using others, then it becomes neurotic. It may also involve a fear of being used. It might be due to because you have been used previously, like your previous experiences were bad and you have been used by other people. So to avoid that situation to happen again, that fear will lead to you thinking that you can exploit others and you should, so that no one can use you. You may have noticed that the people who love practical jokes more often than not cannot take being the butt of such a joke themselves. Okay, usually people who roast others or who joke a lot about others, they usually don't know how to take a joke on themselves. Moving on to the sixth one. So, sixth neurotic need is for social recognition or prestige. Normal is it is normal, we all are social creatures and sexual ones and like to be appreciated. What becomes neurotic in this scenario is that people are overwhelmingly concerned with their appearance, and everyone wants to be and not everyone, but if you are all the time you are thinking about just becoming popular, or just thinking about your appearance, they fear being ignored, be thought plain uncool or out of it, then that becomes neurotic. What is the seventh neurotic need? It is personal admiration. We need to be admired for our inner qualities as well as outer ones. We need to feel important and valued. Okay. So, like, we want to get compliments for both our behavior and our appearances. Like, you look nice, you have good sense of humor, or, you are really helpful. So, we need all kind of uh, compliments, or we can say that approval from others. What will become neurotic in this case is that some people are more desperate and need to remind everyone of their importance, so they keep doing things so that people keep appraising them. their fear of being thought nobody is unimportant and meaningless. So when you have this fear that now you are not important to anyone, or your life is meaningless because no one is admiring you, then it becomes neurotic. Next neurotic need is personal achievement. So there is nothing intrinsically wrong with achievement, far from it. We all want to be at peace, we all want to be satisfied, we all have some personal achievements, personal goals to achieve. What will become neurotic in this scenario is that some people are obsessed with personal achievement. They have to be number one at everything they do. Since this is, of course, quite a difficult task, you will find these people devaluing anything they cannot be number one in. If they are good runners, then the discus and the hammer are sideshows. If academic abilities are their strength, physical abilities are of no importance, and so on. Okay, so like it's like they just value the things they are really good at, they can be number one in, and other things they start demeaning, they start devaluing. So this becomes neurotic. Then next neurotic need is self-sufficiency and independence. We should all cultivate some autonomy. Okay, we all want to be self-sufficient and independent. What becomes neurotic here, that some people start feeling like they don't need anyone, maybe because of their previous experiences. So they tend to refuse help, and they are often reluctant to commit to a relationship. Then the last neurotic need Karen Horney gave is perfection and unassailability. So it is normal that we all want to become better and better at life and our special interest. So some people, but what becomes neurotic here is that some people are driven to be perfect and scared of being flawed. They cannot be caught making a mistake and need to be in control at all times. So, if you are like, you have to show everyone that you are way too perfect, then it becomes neurotic. Moving on to neurotic trends. Horney classified these 10 needs under three headings. Okay. First one is moving towards people, then moving against people, then moving away from people, and called these neurotic trends. These three she called as neurotic trends. So, what came under movement towards people? Uh, that that so the need that comes under the trend of movement towards people, or we can say compliant personality, in that two needs are there: affection and approval, and dominant partner. Okay. Then movement against people or aggressive personality. What comes under here? So five needs come under here. First is power, then exploitation, then prestige, then admiration, then achievement. And then in the last trend, which is movement away from people, that is detached personality. Three needs are there: self sufficiency, perfection, narrow limits to life. The three trends represent the three elements of basic anxiety. And what are these three elements? Helplessness, isolation, and hostility. Alternative coping strategy: alienation. So anxiety and hostility lead the child to regard his or her real self as inadequate, unworthy, and unlovable. Given this negative self image, a despised self emerges. The child responds defensively to this despicable self description by creating or striving to obtain an idealized image of themselves called the idealized self. The neurotic pursues the self esteem he or she is lacking by striving to achieve an unrealistic version of the person he or she ought to be. Okay. So, because of this anxiety and hostility, a child becomes, uh, it basically makes the child to think that her real self, the real person he or she actually is not worthy enough or is unlovable. And this self image, this negative self image, which is negative in nature, is emerges, which is also called as despised self. And because of this image, a child responds defensively. to this despicable self-description. And how does he do that? By creating or striving to obtain an idealized image uh, that he or she can call as idealized self. So the neurotic pursues the self-esteem he or she is lacking by striving to achieve an unrealistic version of the person he or she ought to be. Because everyone makes mistake. You cannot be, you know, you cannot be someone who does not make any mistakes. So, but as a child, we strive to become someone who is perfect in our eyes. So this becomes neurotic. Horney's theory of self. So this is real self, okay? And here comes the self-realization. Okay, for healthy person. For healthy person, real self is here, and real self leads to self-realization. In a neurotic person, what happens? There is one despised self, like negative self, and there is one ideal self, which is like the person you want to be. These two overlap, and there is a vacillation between both of these selves, and this is like this is the thinking process of neurotic person. According to Horney, the self is the core of your being, your potential. If you are healthy, you would have an accurate conception of who you are, and you would then be free to realize that potential. The neurotic has a different view of things. The neurotic self is split into a despised self and an ideal self. And the neurotic swings back and forth between hating themselves and pretending to be perfect. Okay? Remember the last line, neurotic swings back and forth between hating themselves and pretending to be perfect. So let's end this personality theory of Karen Horney with her quote. Fortunately, analysis is not the only way to resolve inner conflicts. Life itself still remains a very effective therapist. The therapy effected by life itself is not, however, within one's control. Neither hardships, nor friendships, nor religious experience can be arranged to meet the needs of the particular individual. Life as a therapist is ruthless. Circumstances that are helpful to one neurotic may entirely crush another. So that is it for today's video, and I hope Karen Horney's neurotic need theory is clear to you all. So here in this theory, you have to remember three basic things: neurotic trends, neurotic needs, and basic anxiety. These are the main concepts you need to remember. So yeah, if you have any doubt, please do ask in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching the video.